Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Chuckles John fucking Madden. I'm your host, Chuckles152. You can catch me on YouTube, on Twitter, as you can see, my Twitter account, and on TikTok at Chuckles152. Now, we're going to go over a tweet that I made earlier today, and I'm not coming at Corey Seidman. Corey Seidman's a great writer. This has nothing to do with Corey, but it has a lot to do with what he said. And this has a lot to do with Howie Roseman, because Corey doesn't understand why DK Metcalf took what Jim Schwartz said and used it against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, if you're not familiar, Jim Schwartz told DK Metcalf that he reminds him a lot of Megatron. If you don't know who Megatron is, that's Calvin Johnson, who played for the Detroit Lions in the early 2000s to about like 2012, 2013. Then he retired because he had shitty coaches like Jim Schwartz. So, he never got to the playoffs. He never won the Super Bowl he wanted to win, and he just got tired of risking his body. I digress. DK Metcalf took offense to that. That's what he claims. That he took offense to what Jim Schwartz said. Now, he did say that Jim Schwartz said something different than what Jim Schwartz is saying. He said Jim Schwartz is claiming that he just said, hey, you remind me of Megatron. But Corey's missing the point. That's what big dick athletes do. Dudes like Michael Jordan, they fucking take whatever anybody says, whether it be hello, and they use it against them on the field of play. And that's what they do. Because that's what Michael Jordan would do. And that's what DK Metcalf did. And that's the problem with Howie Roseman, because he couldn't recognize that DK Metcalf was much the same as Michael Jordan. Not only was he a better physical specimen than J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, but he had it up top in the head to outwork somebody like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, when J.J. Arcega-Whiteside should be trying to outwork DK Metcalf. So, why do I know this? Because I'm one of them whack jobs that would take things people said or did or didn't do, and I would use it against them when I was a wrestler many, many years ago. For those who don't know, I wrestled in high school. I was a decent wrestler. This is a situation, this picture right here, I just headbutted the other guy in the face because I took offense to him. That's why I had 2 takedown and he had 1 for me giving up a penalty point, because I headbutted him right in the friggin' schnoz. But I was that type of wrestler that would take what somebody said and use it against them. But I wasn't always that way. I digress. I started out, I was a fat little pudgy kid. Fat little pudgy kid that knew how to wrestle. I would never say I was great as a little guy, and that was mainly just my attitude, but I wasn't a scrub either. So, the story I'm going to tell is how I feel a lot like DK Metcalf, and how I would take what people said or did and use it against them. So, I must have been 9 years old. There was a kid that was very jacked, and I was this short little pudgy kid. And if you've never seen a wrestling mat, it basically looks like this. Circle, there's a bigger circle, there's 2 lines, and then there's 2 places to place your foot. I'd place my foot here, and literally right off the whistle, I'd fall on my back right around here, and the kid that was over here would just jump on top of me and pin me. And that was because I was scared of the jacked kid. And every week it seemed like it was me and him in the finals. So it wasn't like I didn't belong in this wrestling mat with him. I did. I mean, I absolutely did. It was just I was scared of him unlike a lot of the other kids, it would roll right to my back. And this was a week in, week out thing, and it would drive my father insane because he knew I was a better wrestler than the effort I was putting out in those finals matches. Because he'd watch me all day wrestle 3 or 4 different kids, and then I get to the finals and lay up a big steaming turd, you know? I mean, how would you feel if your son was throwing up a turd burger in the finals? It would piss my dad off. So, I finally had enough. Well, I didn't finally have enough. What happened is, we're in a tournament, very big one. In fact, I think I wrestled 8 times to get to the finals that day. And very big tournament in Greater Norristown. And my dad pokes me in the side. He goes, look at him. He's laughing at you. Now, he was laughing. He might not have been laughing at me, but he was laughing. And that pissed me off. Like, who the hell is he to laugh at me? Like, I belong out there with him. I just beat 8 other kids to get to the finals to wrestle him. It's 9:45 at night on a Saturday or Sunday night, and I just wrestled 8 other kids since 7:30 in the morning to get there to the finals. That was all the motivation I finally needed. And I went out there, and I ended up winning the match because he cursed twice and got thrown out. But he didn't. I didn't win because he cursed twice. I won because I beat the ever-living piss out of him. And he didn't like that. That short little fucking pudgy kid was supposed to roll over and died it for him, you know? And I didn't do that. I didn't do it at all. He didn't like that. And I ended up winning. And that was something I continued to carry on the rest of my high school career. Now, my high school wrestling career, I mean, it had its ups and downs. My freshman year, I did great. I was being bullied in school, and I used that as motivation to go out there and wrestle great. People called me the freshman phenom. I went to Cardinal O'Hara. I transferred out after my sophomore year. I went to the Episcopal Academy. This guy right here, Coach Sylvie, he helped me turn everything back around. Got my head, because everything that was up here, my head wasn't on straight. He had to twist it back together. And it took him my 2 years at Episcopal, my first 2 years at Episcopal, it took him just those years to kind of get through to me. And then my senior year, I got back to myself. My second year at O'Hara didn't go too well. I had to stay back to go to Episcopal. I was very young for my grade anyway. And I had one goal after sitting out a lot of my my junior year, because I dislocated my shoulder. It was to get to the top of the podium at States. And I used a lot of motivation my senior year. That's how I know where DK Metcalf is coming from. My senior year, I understood all too well that anything anybody said against me was insulting. And I would take it as motivation to work out harder, better, faster, stronger than I ever did before. I would get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go for a run before school. I was running all day, every day. I'd finish my homework quickly so I could go out for 5-6 mile runs at night. That way I could just be ready for whoever I was going to wrestle. And like anything anybody said in the newspaper, I'd find a way to motivate me, because this is where I ended up. This was the state finals. This is a kid that actually beat me 6 or 7 times going into that state finals match. He had beaten me that many times. This kid right here. He's on his back, if you don't realize that. And why? Because I was ready to wrestle. I was that motivated. Because I wanted to be at the top. You see, this is where you want to be. Or at least I wanted to be. As an athlete, This is where DK Metcalf wants to be, right there for number 1. He doesn't want to be number 7. He doesn't want to be 6. Hey, he doesn't want to be Henry Gilbert here at number 8. You get to look down at the top at everybody else. Look how pissed number 2 is, you know? Look how happy number 4 is wearing his Elmo socks. I know this picture quality isn't the greatest. This guy right here is looking up at number me because he wants to be me. He's got the motivation to be number 1. I was number 1 that day. Look how fucking happy I was. I had a fucking shit-eating grin. Look at that shit-eating grin I got on my fucking face. And why? Because I finally got what I wanted. I wanted to be the best wrestler in the state of Pennsylvania. And that's what happened. And so, going back to DK Metcalf, he uses whatever the hell anybody says to him as motivation to go out there and embarrass the people that said whatever they said to him, whether it was high, whether it was by. And that's why Howie Roseman should lose his job for taking J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, the umbrella man. Look at his name, Jay. It looks like a fucking umbrella. His mom held an umbrella, if you didn't know that, held it over his head because the sunshine was hurting him at practice. That's why Howie Roseman should be fired. Because if you can't spot DK Metcalfs that are going to outwork everybody else, even the people that are lesser than them, then you don't deserve having a job as a general manager in the NFL. Have a good one, everybody.